the one thing that we need to ask up front, that we've asked every one of these groups, how many of you enjoyed the fact that we offered different variations of where you could find your club officer training this year instead of having to just go to one place for it? Did you find it more effective, more efficient? Did you like the fact that we could do this online this year? I'm seeing a bunch of thumbs up. Did anybody else out there say, no, this really wasn't cool. I really just wanted to have a live event and we didn't have that? It's okay, you're welcome to say that too. And there's a couple I can see waving their hands saying, yes, I just want to be live. And I saw that in a room that is an entire club meeting. That is the Anthony Wayne Club. I saw somebody in the back of the Anthony Wayne Club saying, I wish that we could have been live. So welcome, Anthony Wayne. And it's okay because we are still doing live events. You can still come to a live training in Edinburgh, Indiana on August 15th. We want to have this as a way of working going forward. We think that it's an effective and efficient way of getting information out to everybody. Chances are very good that this is going to hang around for at least the next couple of years because we think it's a great way of being able to engage with members where you are. And how many of you don't like the fact that you can just go to a training sitting in your den or your living room and you don't have to put on pants or shoes? You can just be hanging out in shorts if you want to. I find that to be very cool. Everyone else like that idea that you can just hang out where you are with a glass of sweet tea in the comfort of your own home. I kind of like that as well. So that's why we're doing this. That's how we came up with this whole thing. We don't want this to just be another training you're going through. We don't want this to just be another one of those requisite trainings and we're going to have a deck for you to go through and we're going to have slides and all of that. That's not what tonight is. Tonight is a dialogue. Tonight is a conversation. Tonight's going to be a conversation with some folks that have been club officers before, some that may have been around for quite a while, some that may just be relatively new to their roles. But folks that have some experience within being club officers that they'll be able to share with everybody else about their experiences. Because if you're like me, when I was first voluntold to be a club officer, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So how many of you else out there got voluntold through this whole thing? That it wasn't necessarily, Michelle was like, I did. Mary's like, oh, I was voluntold. It's that thing that happens when somebody else knows something needs to be done, but they have no intention of doing it themselves. So they volunteer somebody else to do that thing that they know needs to be done. And a lot of us became club officers for the first time. It happened to me 8 years ago in Orlando, Florida. And it was still one of the best things that ever happened to me because I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to all of you if they had not voluntold me 8 years ago that I needed to do this thing. So sometimes it's a good thing. So we're going to share some information with all of you about what we've done in the past and what's worked and what hasn't worked. And there's a huge reason behind that. How many of you have ever seen this handbook? The Club Officer Handbook. Club Officer Handbook. It's available online, and we used to get these in the mail. They used to come to all new club officers in the mail. And it's a nice little layout of what to expect if you're a club officer. If there's no people in your clubs, it's the perfect case scenario of how to do all of the things that need to happen for club officer training. But as soon as you interject the concept that there are people within your clubs, everything kind of goes out the window. Because how many of you have clubs with people that may have a different viewpoint on how to run a club than you might have? Nobody else is out there with anybody else, and everybody's in a club where everybody thinks exactly the same and wants the exact same thing out of their club, and nobody ever has any conflict in their clubs, right? That's never happened anywhere. I can see people laughing like, you've not been to my club, apparently. All of us deal with people. So tonight's an opportunity to talk about what happens when you actually get into the roles of being a club officer, what to expect, what we've learned, how we've dealt with some of these things, and some advice for you going forward. And then we're going to give you some time at the end to just ask some questions about, I have no idea what I'm doing with this. I listened to the module. I have no clue what I'm doing. Here's what I need to know. We're going to answer those questions for you tonight as well. So good roadmap. We know where we're going to go with all of this. Thumbs up if we're cool with where we're going tonight. All right. Fantastic. Well, the purpose of this, again, is a roundtable. It's a discussion. So I don't want this to just be me talking to all of you. So I'm going to be calling on some folks, but because this is a makeup session and I was on vacation until 11 o'clock last night, nobody really knows that I'm about to call on them except if you've met me before and you know me. Like Marguerite's like, I'm pretty sure he's going to call on me at some point tonight. And you would be right, Marguerite. So there's a couple of things out there that some experienced club officers can provide some information and some feedback on what they've learned over the past. And Angela, you've been on this, the third time you've heard this presentation. You've joined me for 3 of these tonight. So I want to start off with you to get the ball rolling. In your experience, what have you learned through your club officer experiences that you would like to pass on to the next generation of club officers? Those things that you know now that you wish you knew then, that you know just make you better now. What are those pieces of wisdom that you want to pass on to the next generation of club officers?
That's a really great question, Scott. You haven't asked me that question before, so I'm thinking that through. What really comes to mind is that when the first time that I was an officer, I was the treasurer of the club. The second time I was an officer, I was the president. And our club, Kentucky Farm Bureau Club 1035, we've had this really long tradition since 2003 of being President's Distinguished. And I felt like there was a lot of pressure on me not to drop that ball. And I think that the thing that I would tell someone else is that even though there may be that pressure, that you can still have your presidency, your leadership within the club be the way that you want it to be. You don't have to necessarily follow someone else's cookie cutter, what they did, that these are only the ideas that are the right ones, because you're going to bring good ideas to the table that someone hasn't thought of before. You're going to have a perspective that someone else doesn't have. And it doesn't mean that the things that came in the past were wrong or not good. It just means that they're different. And you can make a difference and you can put your mark on your club. And it's okay to be a little bit different and do things from a different perspective, because ultimately that's what's going to make everything better. And I certainly recommend that anyone that is in a new club officer role this year, just think about what is it that you're seeing a little bit differently from everyone else. Make sure that you're interjecting that in, because we all have a voice. It's a club that belongs to all of us. And we want to be sure that everyone has the ability to make a difference within the club through their leadership.
Fantastic. Thank you. Very nice. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to this. I'm going to ask you a follow-up because you brought up the whole distinguished, the whole President's Distinguished and earning the honors from the DCP program. Have you found it to be more effective to chase the points or to chase the processes that get the points? Which one have you found to be more effective?
I think for us, it's been more effective to help the people get the points, that get the club the points. If we're helping people to meet their educational goals, the DCP stuff will take care of itself. We're here to serve our members. And when we help our members reach their goals, the club is going to reach its goals. So I don't think that you have to chase the numbers, so forth. I think that you have to chase the members and talk with those members, find out why they're here, have a conversation with them, find out what it is that they want to do. And then sometimes you have to push people a little bit, but even within that, reminding them that, hey, this is something that you wanted to learn how to do, that you wanted to be better at. This was the goal that you told me that you had for your year in Toastmasters. And I think that when you are serving the people will serve the club, and the DCP stuff, it just kind of takes care of itself.
Absolutely. Thank you. That is perfect. That is perfect. It's almost like you've heard me talk about that same thing in the past at some point. That you and I might be on this exact same page for that. This is a great way. Everyone who's here tonight is going to be earning credit towards the DCP program, and that's fantastic, and I love that you're doing that. But I think even more importantly than the idea of being able to earn credit towards your DCP program, this is an opportunity to learn from others' experiences, the same way within your clubs. Just like Angela said, if you do the things for your members that help them take that next step and walk down that path, wherever that path is taking them, you will have a fully engaged club. And that is how, in the end, clubs should be really measured. The points take care of themselves if you do the right things for the members. Members are the most important thing that we can focus on, and you do a great job with that. Now, I can see someone sitting there, Marguerite Wire, who has been a club officer for quite a number of years. And because she's in one of my clubs, the passion that she brings to being a club officer is palpable in every single engagement you have with her. And I'm curious, after all this time, Marguerite, what can you still learn, even though you might have been an officer a few times, what do you bring to the table to help others learn where you've been, and why do you keep doing this to help yourself keep growing? Hit unmute first, Marguerite.
Okay, that was kind of a two-part question, right?
Exactly.
Oh. Wait a minute, say it again. I'm
So
sorry.
you've been a member for a number of years.
Yeah.
And it seems like every term you learn something new and you grow a little bit more. What is it that as you keep repeating roles and staying in club leadership, what do you learn within those roles every year, and what do you try to give to your clubs by repeating on a regular basis?
Well, like Angela's already said, if you know what your club member, I just recently got this one reinforced. If you keep following up on what the members want out of their membership, you can better guide them. One thing I've been doing recently is if somebody's within one or two projects of an award, I can say, I can get you this award if you do this, and put it back in their ballpark, and they can either say yes or no, and I have to take what they say as an answer. Maybe that's not where they want to go with it. So that's one thing that I've learned new more recently. I'm a stickler. I don't do well with everything hiding on the internet somewhere. So I keep a lot of paper records. Scott, you've seen those. It's a whole pack of paper with a paper clip on it every time we come to a meeting. And I know exactly where every person is and what they need to finish that next award. And if they're going to be around, I keep checking with them to see if they've got something that's almost ready to present, or I remind them about the other meeting roles that they can be doing to keep that rotating through so they don't wind up, say, being grammarian every time. I try to get them out of that rut and get them into the other offices. That way I don't have to worry about with pathways whether they've done the 3 that they need by the end of level 3. I know where they are and I know who hasn't done it recently, so I make sure that they get those in rotation. I do it because at this point I've been through, what did I figure? It was either 7 or 8 competent communicators. I have my DTM. I've been through most of the set of advanced manuals twice, except for the ones I don't have the technology to do. And I'm almost to the end of my first path and halfway through my second path and starting my third path in pathways. I'm basically in it now to help others achieve.
So thank you, Marguerite. That is fantastic. And from being in a club with Marguerite, I know that the passion that she has for members is palpable. She mentioned that there's a way that we keep track of helping people get through processes in the clubs that help people to not repeat the same rules over and over. Now, most clubs have some sort of a record-keeping system. A lot of clubs still use some sort of paper and pencil method. There's a couple of other electronic versions out there that I know aren't necessarily as prevalent for District 11 as they are in some other areas. I happen to have joined from District 84 and District 47, which are in Florida. Easy Speak. How many of you have heard of Easy Speak? How many of you use Easy Speak? I think I saw, is that Patricia's hand from Anthony Wayne just went up? Anybody else out there know of Easy Speak? How about Free Toast Host? Anybody know about Free Toast Host out there? Not a lot of hands. Okay. So here's where the good part of the roundtable is, where we can have a discussion about some other alternatives for you. Both Easy Speak and Free Toast Host were developed in conjunction with Toastmasters, but not by Toastmasters. And they are both record-keeping systems that help you manage members' flow through the educational programs and through club roles, and do a couple of things exceptionally well. Easy Speak, I think, does a fantastic job of record keeping and being able to help you move members through roles and scheduling meetings amazingly efficiently. Free Toast Host does a great job of being able to create agendas that are appealing and easy to follow, which is wonderful when you are trying to entice visitors to become members. So it's a much better systemic process to be able to help new people understand what Toastmasters does and kind of understand how the meetings flow. Because let's face it, when we first went to a meeting, how many of us were confused by bells ringing and people clapping and shaking of hands and passing of gavels? And did you really know what was happening in those first couple of meetings? Because I did not know what I was getting myself into. I walked away completely confused. And the amount of times, like, I was in a club that used to ding a bell every time somebody said an or an and the bell rang so often, I thought Clarence was getting his wings every 7 seconds an entire meeting. So I didn't know what was happening. But Free Toast Host and Easy Speak are great ways to be able to manage the process. If you're interested in that, just hit me up and I'll be more than happy to walk you through how to get set up on Easy Speak or Free Toast Host. But try to make sure there is some sort of a system that's out there. The other thing that I've noticed Marguerite does extremely well is when it comes to relationships. But she is in a community club. And there's another club with which I'm involved, and that is the Vera Bradley Toastmasters Club. And I know Alice just realized I'm about to talk to her. And Vera Bradley's club did a really good job of being able to transition when they first started to develop a club culture that matched the company's culture, so that members were able to get out of meetings what they needed to be able to propel their careers forward within a specific culture. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about some of the things you might have learned through that process, about how you're able to develop those relationships and that culture to be able to create an environment that replicated the working environment, and how that played out and was beneficial to the club and to its members.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that is a little bit unique about Vera Bradley as a corporate culture is it's a very friendly culture. A lot of people like to include people in meetings. You'll find you meet a lot of new people at every meeting that you go to. And people who were joining Toastmasters were specifically looking for skills in impromptu speaking. That was something that whenever we asked them why they joined, it was because I get called a lot in meetings and I get nervous about speaking in front of people. So we did a whole bunch of, we heard people saying that, but we weren't really incorporating that into our club. So we started actually asking the questions like, what do you want to get out of Toastmasters from this club? And when impromptu speaking kept coming up, it was like, okay, well, we need to reformat our meetings to accommodate that. So we ended up changing up the way that we did table topics. We added like a Q&A section to our table topics. We had people starting to do more Q&A sessions during their speeches and practicing impromptu speaking because it helped them. But it all started with asking the question of like, what do you want to get out of it? And then being open to reformatting the meeting to meet that need. So we took some time out of other places in our meetings. Like, we don't tend to focus as much on the evaluations we do evaluations, but we don't have like an extensive grammarian report. We don't have an extensive table topics report. We focus that time on giving people the chance to practice impromptu speaking.
So one of the things that you did, I thought was really interesting, was you didn't just give people a chance to practice impromptu speaking, but because when you're in a business setting, in a work setting, oftentimes when you say something, somebody asks you a question about what you just said. And you did a good job of being able to figure out how to incorporate that. Can you just talk a little bit about how you did your table topic session to mimic real life a little bit better?
So what we did was we have it table topics, but every other meeting we have an extended table topic session. And instead of just having 1 minute to speak, the person has a minute to speak, and then people from the audience ask the person questions. And it can be one question that takes them the next full minute to answer. It can be multiple people asking different types of questions, but it just gets people used to having that dialogue in a room, so that after they say like their response to a specific topic, getting feedback from people and asking those additional questions, it really gave them that practice of having that dialogue.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alice. I think that was a great example, and from what you guys did an amazing job with that. So thank you very much for sharing that with everybody. So I want to go and take something off the cuff here a little bit with why people join clubs, because one thing that Alice learned, and one thing that Angela has talked about also, and I think Marguerite even touched on this a little bit, is that all of us join Toastmasters for a different reason, but we all stay for our own reasons. None of us are really here for the same reasons. So I'm curious, for all of you, I would just like to hear from three of you, 3 or 4 of you, why did you join Toastmasters in the first place? Why did you join Toastmasters in the first place? So just no more than a couple of 15, 20 seconds tops. Why did you join Toastmasters in the first place? Greg, I saw you unmute yourself really quickly with that. So you want to go first here? You're unmuted, but I still can't hear you. Check your plug. And you might have to unplug your headphones. So sorry. Okay, well, Gregory, I think, is going to have to try to figure out, because we can't hear you, unfortunately. We'd love to hear from you, but we just can't physically hear you. Who else like to share for a second, why did you join Toastmasters? What was it that drew you to Toastmasters in the first place? Lois.
Well, I joined because someone came to my office and they said, you know, we've got this club called Toastmasters. And I said, really? And I was just given a weekly program on Sunday mornings to represent the churches. And I wanted to do better. So I talked to the man that's over the radio stations, and I said, what do you think about this? And he said, you don't need it. But I said, but you won't tell me if I do good or bad. And I said, I want to join. So I went, in the first meeting, I signed up that afternoon, and I loved it. I mean, I just love learning, and Toastmasters offers so much how to deal with people. I do it all the time. And our club is very unique in that it's all impromptu. A lot of times an officer doesn't make it, but everybody knows how to do everybody's job. And it's really been spontaneous. It's been inspiring. I just love it. I really do.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Lois. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. June, I saw you raise your hand that you wanted to also speak for a second, if you could.
Yeah. Okay. So I joined Toastmasters. First of all, my friend Barbara said, hey, come check out Toastmasters. And I kind of put her off for about a month. But then somebody else asked me to be a speaker on their circuit, and I did my trial for on stage with that circuit, and I stumbled all over myself. The next meeting, I went to Toastmasters, and I signed up that night.
Very nice. I can certainly recognize that without a doubt. Thank you very much. Thank you. One more person.
Hey, Scott. Can you hear me now?
Yes, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. Alice is spot on, as I joined because I need to get better at impromptu speaking. Talking on my feet, I guess, you know. People ask questions, and I got to think about it a real lot before I make an answer. And I say a lot of ums and ahs and try to fill in while I try to think about what to say. So that's the primary reason why I joined Toastmasters. And it also helps to help lead a club and build the leadership skills. So that's helpful as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Gregor. Thank you. So you probably hear some things in there that might be a little bit similar to you, that might resonate with you about why you joined, and some reasons why you probably stick around as well. My question to you, though, is how many of you joined thinking that this was the perfect place to do this by yourself? That you found a club to pay $45 every 6 months to because you wanted to do it by yourself? Nobody, huh? Seems like we all joined because we needed the help of somebody else. We probably had somebody else walking beside us as a mentor through something with this, correct? If we didn't have a formal mentor, we probably know somebody within our Toastmasters experience that has been a mentor to us. I'm interested just from a couple of you, how many of you have a mentor experience that helped you take that next step throughout your journey as a member? Who'd like to share that? Junior, the only hand I saw go up, so go ahead.
Well, I thought you were just asking who had a mentor, so, but my, when I started, we were all given mentors from our club. And the mentor did help me learn how to create a speech so that I could give a speech. And then she would come and listen to me practice as well and would say, you know, maybe you want to cut that out. Like, maybe I shouldn't say you know all the time, because that's my go-to. It is still my go-to 30 speeches later.
Very nice, thank you. How about, so that's a really good version of a formal mentor. David Klopp, I think I see you raising your hand in the shadows back there. Whoever has the ponytail and sitting beside David, talk to me about your mentor experience, because I saw a hand go up, but I can't see the face on your camera. Ah, there we go. You want to hit unmute? There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm Margie Goff, and this is
Hi,
my
Margie.
husband, Dave, and I'm the president of our club, and he's the sergeant at arms. And I didn't have a mentor when I came in. So I'm a teacher, so I just had to go on what I already knew. But I love the club. I joined because.
Did you find somebody that helped you along your way, though? Did you find somebody that was more of maybe not a formal mentor, but somebody who you looked to, you could ask questions to?
I did. My brother, who lives in England, was a Toastmaster for 2 years. And he used to call me on Monday nights after his meetings, and he was so enthusiastic that I joined. And then I would call him and practice my speeches over the phone. And then 6 hours later, I would give it, because they're 6 hours ahead. So yes.
Fantastic.
And then I joined because of Margie.
And our son joined as well. We all joined together.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. It's a family thing. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's very cool.
Yes, and my first time at the club meeting, June was giving a speech. She's a member of our club.
Did she say you know? All right. So we can see that mentors can be either formal or informal within that. Denise, do you have an example of mentorship you want to share?
When I first joined, I saw this woman that was speaking so eloquently, and she spoke with such passion that I grabbed her and asked her to be my mentor, who is Valerie Rice. Valerie is awesome, and she will tell you, I tell her she's firm, but she's fair. And I would do things, and she would say, I would ask questions, and her first response would be, Denise, what does the manual say? And I'm thinking, just tell me. But she would tell me and then say, refer to the manual, which empowered me to go through Toastmasters to understand the whole concept of Toastmasters. Therefore, I wouldn't go off of what I thought. If it wasn't the Toastmaster way, then I wouldn't do it. So she is still with me, mentoring me, and fussing at me a little bit too. But she's awesome. So I really appreciate the mentor that she has been for me and our club as well.
Fantastic. I would completely agree. Valerie is wonderful. You ended up with a fantastic mentor through Valerie. So you can see that there's some great examples of mentorship out there. Like between Denise's example and Marge's example and June's example, they're very different though. So but many of us have found the power of mentorship. My question for you is this though. How many of you have identified a mentor to help walk you with you or beside you through your journey as an officer? Probably Valerie, right, Denise?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, Valerie.
Yes.
And also, but I will say Carol Krause played a big role as well. Carol is very good, and she's Miss Toastmaster too. So I actually had Carol and Valerie, a good duo.
Very good duo.
Different styles, but very, very effective, both of them, in being a mentor.
Yes. So the things you're going to look for as to be a protege, as an officer, and the thing you're looking for in a mentor as an officer are probably a little bit different than what you're looking for as a regular club member. As a regular club member, you're probably looking for somebody to help guide you through, how do I write a speech? What is this grammarian thing I'm supposed to do? How do you deliver an effective evaluation? Those are the things you're looking for as a regular mentor-protege relationship within a club. But when you become a club officer, there's different skill sets that are out there that you're looking to help somebody. You're looking for somebody to walk beside you, looking for those things to help you become more effective as a leader. If you've not already identified somebody with whom you want to help walk beside you through your journey as a club officer, I encourage you to reach out to your area director, to your division director, somebody on the trio, to let us help you find the person that is going to more effectively help you walk with you through this process of being a club officer, because it's different. What you're doing now is very different from what it was when you just showed up to a meeting, you spoke and you left, and that was it, because it's no longer that as being a club officer. So if you have somebody whom you have already identified, somebody with whom you're working with as a mentor through this club officer role, I'd love to hear somebody's experience. If you have somebody with whom you've already entrusted that privilege of guiding you through that process. Does anybody have a mentor out there with whom you're working right now as a club officer? Okay. Well, that means that there are a lot of folks out there that have an opportunity to go find a mentor. I could not encourage you more. Find a mentor with somebody with whom you want to walk through this journey with. Somebody with whom you think can help you through this process of being a club officer. It is not an individual endeavor. This is much more effectively, and it's much more fun if you do it as a team. This is a team sport, not an individual sport. So we've talked a little bit about mentorship. We've talked about relationships. We've talked a little bit about some of the things we've learned throughout the course of our time as being club officers. But I know that as you are going into your role, there are probably some things that you are wondering about that were not answered either through the module, through the handbook, through any of that stuff, because they're just the things that come up on a regular basis. So if you haven't, I would love to answer some questions for everybody, see if we can get the group to answer some questions for everybody about things that are specific towards your journey and your questions about how do you become a more effective club officer for whatever role you have within your club. So if you have questions, please just unmute yourself. So I'm sure somebody does. Mary, yours is the first hand I saw go up.
Well, I have 5 questions, so I'll let you just monitor how many you want to deal with. And if there's any other presidents that would like to answer, I'd be more than happy to hear from them. So you can let me know how you'd like to go about that. Of course, there's some of our members are parliamentarians, and they're really helpful. I just find as president, I'm supposed to be leading meetings, and the rules, I hear them, they fall off. That's it. Like, unless I study parliamentary procedure, which I'm a little bored with and I don't have a lot of time for, I'm just constantly corrected in business meetings, which I don't mind. What I mind is that I'm not getting any better. Maybe somebody or you, Scott, could give me suggestions for, probably I could just plan the business portion ahead of time and review parliamentary procedure, and I've got to make little notes to myself. say yay or nay, or some people will correct you and say, no, it's supposed to be nay or the opposite, or whatever the rule is. I can't remember, and I quite frankly don't care too much, but I care enough to be good at what I do. And so somebody could just say something encouraging or say something, oh no, is that Dave Wilkins? Oh no.
That's Dave Wilkins. I saw Dave Wilkins walking up to the camera. We know Dave Wilkins is the president of the parliamentarians.
Oh no.
Yes. Dave, can you help Mary? Dave, can you help Mary out with this a little bit? Because I have some other feedback that I might be able to help you with this as well. So Dave, what do you say about this question?
Well, hello, Mary, and I also applaud your wondering about what you need to do. And the very best and easiest thing to do for you would be to have us come and do a workshop. Now, Marlene, as you know, is part of the Parliamentary Society. My wife and I both are members of the National Association of Parliamentarians. And over the course of a half an hour, 45 minutes, we'll take up a whole meeting. We'll give you a parliamentary workshop that's good for you and good for your officers. And when you're done with the workshop, you'll be able to understand how to conduct a basic meeting. We have handouts. They're old-fashioned. They're paper. They've got typewritten on them. They're actually mimeographed, not on the big blue papery stuff. It's black and white, but it's paper. Anyway, we can do that for you, and we will, if you just ask. And when you ask Scott about mentors, Bob Lyman from the Bob Lyman Club was my primary mentor in life. I met him about a year after I began Toastmasters, and he changed me, he changed my life, and he changed my direction of life. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have the TV show I do today. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be a part of the Parliamentary Society. And he did it by simply putting a goal in front of me and says, here, go do it. He didn't tell me how or what, he just said, go do it. And by the way, you're doing a very fine job tonight. Thank you for doing this. And I'll get off now.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Dave. Mary, I am going to offer a contradictory opinion for this.
What?
I'm so sorry, Dave, but you're not going to like what I have to say about this, but I love you to death anyway. The majority of businesses that are out there, the majority of places where we work, don't operate through motions. There are very few corporate jobs, very few business jobs that you have that in order to get something done, you have to make a motion and a second and you have to vote on it. It's generally, most organizations follow a loose concept of what parliamentary procedure truly is. And it's an organized way to get things done. If you have a way that you find works better, that still keeps everyone involved, the rules are not necessarily as important as the outcomes. It's kind of the same thing with DCP points. How you get to those results isn't going to be the same for everybody. And if you need to find a skill, if you need to work on a skill that's going to be more important for you, I encourage you to do that. I encourage all club officers to do that. Let this be a place where you fail in private so you can succeed in public. If you find yourself getting so stuck in a set of rules that isn't going to be something that you're going to apply outside of Toastmasters, then maybe it's time to alter what those rules are a little bit so that it's more beneficial for everybody as a whole. Yes, there is absolutely a place for parliamentary procedure. Should it be at a detriment to the club's success? No. It should be for the members itself. So I would absolutely suggest take Dave up on his suggestions and then massage it to a way that works both for you, for your club, and for all members, not just for parliamentarians as well. Does that help? Yes? All right.
My unmute button. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Very good.
I've got three more questions.
So I know you have 4 more questions. Let's see if anybody else has a question out there so we can, so we don't just answer all of yours. If not, then we'll come back to you. Is that fair? All right. Who else has a question you'd like to ask? Akash.
Scott, yeah.
Yes, what do you have?
Thank you. I recently became a secretary in the Fuel Speakers Club in Columbus,
Congratulations.
Indiana. Thank you. So the previous secretary, she gave me an overview of my roles, and right now she's not serving as an active member in our club. And I'm not sure whom I can fall back on if I have any questions, like a mentor sort of person, as you spoke about earlier. does that person have to be somebody in our club, or can they be anybody else? And how do I?
Any Toastmaster can help you out. Any Toastmaster can help you. How many of you, besides the Go Hoots, besides David and I think it was it Marguerite? I'm sorry, I completely forgot the entire family that was Toastmasters. Yes,
I got
Marguerite
a
or
comment on that. Any Toastmaster, you're right. I would encourage people to go visit other clubs. Now with Zoom meetings, makes it so much easier. We just recently had a meeting with Zimbabwe out in Africa. That was quite exciting. We do joint meetings with the local Warsaw, Indiana clubs in the area. So it's really fun to hear how other clubs work, and I would encourage you guys all to go visit other clubs to see how they run.
Absolutely. Akash, I have one other place where you can absolutely do this. Starting next week, we're rolling out a program that is called the Club Ambassador Program, where we are incentivizing members to go visit other clubs and learn from other clubs and bring those best practices back. Ask your division director, ask your area director about the other secretaries in the other clubs. They can hook you up. Even if you all get together and do a group chat, or you do your own little group Zoom thing together, maybe once a month or something, go find the people within Toastmasters with whom you connect that can help you out. Definitely extend beyond your own club to wherever it is that you find your best examples of mentorship out there. Find the people that are going to help you the best no matter where they are.
Thank you, Scott.
Absolutely. Who else? About 5 minutes of questions left. Anybody else have questions besides Mary? All right, Mary, question number 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Will, sorry. Mary, we'll get back to you after this one. Will, what is your question?
Thank you very much, Scott. I'm Will. I'm from the Louisville, Kentucky, Norton Competent Communicators. And my question is, I'm stepping into the role of the VP of Public Relations. And it's a unique role, especially during the COVID season. We're all online right now, not in person. And one of the ideas, one of our officers has brought up is the relationship between the Rotary Club and Toastmasters, and somehow maybe even incorporating them into our meeting or into inviting them in to do some kind of joint discussion of some kind, perhaps. Has anyone ever done an open club or things like that?
I actually went and spoke at a Rotary National training back in October that I delivered 8 workshops over 3 days to Rotarians from the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast and from Ohio to Oklahoma. So all of their district leadership fully understands Toastmasters with kind of what we're all about. And we walked away from that with a huge open to listen. I was on my way to Ohio when the pandemic hit to go do a series of trainings at a bunch of district conferences there for Rotarians. The club officers, the Rotarian directors know about the partnership. They're anxious for it. If you reach out to clubs, they can absolutely, I'm 100% sure they would want to be involved in some way. If you need help connecting with the right people, I can certainly put you in touch with their district officers because I have all those contacts from what I was working on on a broader scale for them. So yes, Rotary, wonderful opportunity, and they are just so thirsty to be able to learn how to become better presenters and better communicators.
Interesting. Thank you, Scott.
And they're a fun group too. They have great conferences. All right, I think we have time for one more question. Mary, let's go back to you for one more of your 5. So I'm going to go to 2.
I suppose maybe you could inspire me for new member induction has been a little bit rule orientated, kind of the attitude. I always understood it to be the attitude of, well, maybe we don't want them. Like, are you kidding? Our club's so small, we need everybody we can get. But in the training, I heard something about special recognition. I like that there's some sort of formality to induct new members. Could you inspire me, or could I hear about what other people do for that?
What's everyone do for new member orientation that you love, or new member induction? Come on, there are a lot of clubs, a lot of Toastmasters out there. What all do you do that you really enjoy for new member inductions?
We have 2 brand new members at Kentucky Farm Bureau Toastmasters in Louisville, Kentucky, and we are having a WebEx meeting with them in about a week and a half to kind of go over the ropes and let them answer or ask questions, and we can answer questions for them. And I think that will be very valuable for both of them. I could see the look in their eyes, like, what in the heck have I done here? What's going on? You know, because they're brand new. One of them is brand new to Kentucky Farm Bureau, and they're all brand new to Toastmasters. So we had 2 new members right before I became VP of Education, and then I have brought on 2 new members since July 1st. So we've got 4 people in this meeting that will take place, I think it's a couple of Tuesdays from now. But I'm looking forward to it, and I think that will help a lot to answer their questions and to make them feel more at ease at what's going on.
Very nice. Thank you, Henry. That's fantastic. Very nice. What else? Denise, what do y'all do up there?
What we do is for our new members, every member, fortunately, our new members have become officers. But as new members come in, there is a new members orientation that is performed. Because often we throw acronyms out, DCP, and all these things for a new person that normally doesn't have a clue. Therefore, with our new member, we'll have a very nice installation for them to welcome them formally. Then each one, we're going to have a webinar where they can go in and see what their role is, if they're an officer, or just as a member, as a reference point for them. That way we're engaging them, we're making them feel that we want them, and we do want them, but we also want them to be engaged. Therefore, we won't have to worry so much about pathways in the DCP if people feel like they belong to the group. So that's a little bit of what we do.
Very nice, Denise. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mary, does that help you a little bit?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Denise, I was just wondering about, you said you have some sort of nice reception. Could you elaborate on that part?
No, I didn't say reception because we're virtual, but we can have a virtual reception. But I just said a really nice ceremony for them, installation. We try to make our little installation special for our new members.
How do you make it special?
Well, we just indulge them and let them know that they are a part of us. When they come in, they're greeted, and they're greeted with respect, and let them know that everyone, we're there to help you, to engage you. We just really want them to feel that they belong. And if we make them feel like they belong to us or that they are a part of us, then they come into and sink into what we really want them to be, is to be active, to be engaged. That's the biggest part we have, is to make them feel that we are engaging them, getting them involved immediately in roles. And that way they feel that they have been success, or they have a success. And all of us are consistently saying that there's growth. There is no perfect speech, because there's always growth. So when we put some of those things out, it kind of helps the atmosphere, that they know we want you, this is great, we're having fun, and yet we're doing what Toastmasters says. We are creating leaders. We are preparing you to be a better speaker. Those are some of the things that we do.
Thank you.
Very nice. I think there's some very nice conversation there. Did you find this helpful tonight a little bit? Did you learn something through this evening? I want to leave you with 2 parting thoughts here. The first one is that nothing great was ever accomplished by maintaining the status quo. You can't be somebody else. You're going to personalize your approach, and you're going to have to change things in order to grow. Because if you don't, stagnation does never equal growth. That's not how it works. It's okay to try something different. It's okay to implement change within your organization, no matter where that is, especially in a Toastmasters club. Don't be afraid of trying something different. And if it fails, you can't break it. Like, you can't break Toastmasters. Try it, fail forward, and make your mark. As you do that, the second piece of advice I will give to everybody: all change happens when you learn to tell a different story, when you learn to show different artifacts, and when you learn to hold different rituals. Stories, artifacts, and rituals are the foundation of all change. If you keep telling the same stories, if you keep holding up the same artifacts as celebrations of who you've been, and if you keep holding the exact same rituals, you will keep doing the exact same things and staying in the same place. Learn to find your voice to tell the story that you want to tell about your club. Learn to find the artifacts that are going to most closely represent not just where you are, but where you're trying to go. And learn to hold the rituals that reinforce the relationships to help people take that next step forward. I could not be more proud to be your program quality director for this year. My goal for this year is to help everybody take that next step, no matter where that next step takes them. We're going to mess up at times, but we're going to always fail forward in the pursuit of growth. If you have questions, reach out to your area directors, reach out to your division directors, reach out to your trio, reach out to all of us. We would try to find somebody with whom can walk beside you on your journey to become a mentor for you, an example for you. And we look forward to seeing where this journey takes not just you, but all of us. If you've not already done so, please enter your name, your club name, and your role into the chat so we can make sure you get credit for this towards your DCP points. Thank you so very much for spending an hour with us tonight. We look forward to working with you throughout this entire year. And as I say all the time, toast on, my friends, toast on. Have yourselves a wonderful night and enjoy. If you have any other questions, I'm going to be hanging out recording all of the people that were here on the spreadsheet. So if you have questions and you want to talk, feel free to unmute, and I'll be more than glad to answer questions while I type. I'm going to stop recording.